Conference will now be recorded.
My name is Commissioner Davis. Jim, I was not supposed to be here tonight, so the commissioner was gonna take over for me, but my plans changed and I came, so anytime you see her name, throw my name.
Except for the.
No, and all the napkin stuff, no, well, that definitely, I don't put my name on that. So, pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance, please stand up, flags in the corner.
Do you know where that is? Yep.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item number 2, public comment, 2 minutes each. Anyone in the audience will be given time to speak. So the items on the consent agenda, please ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda. Items pulled will be heard at the beginning of the regular meeting. Members of the public will be given an opportunity to speak to all other items prior to council action being taken. Anybody here or online to speak? All right, let's move on to item 3. Council member announcements. Mr. Mayor.
I just wanted to introduce one of our guests who will be speaking to us later, and she's here this evening, our Executive Director of CTIO, Piper Darlington. So,
Piper, it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're glutton. Anyone else? Anybody else?
thank you.
Go ahead.
It looks like our tax initiative to support a large rec center in Timoth is going to pass, about 54%.
Congratulations.
Hopefully we'll have a design next year, and fingers crossed, hopefully have it done by 20.
Well, they say when you get a rec center, you're moving up in the world.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. Where's it gonna be?
The town owns 17 acres right by our new parkway, right next to Old Town.
Yeah.
So we anticipate it'll use about 10 acres for the rec center, including parking. And the remainder, I'm hoping we have like a public gathering space and then retail along for it. So we'll probably sell or lease the land for retail there, and we're hoping that it will help revitalize Old Town and also funded the formation of a 501c3 nonprofit, Old Town Main Street, and we have that up and running now with an active board. So we're hoping to.
Like a DDA kind of?
They don't have any taxes for it, so they're a nonprofit. We're putting in $50,000 in matching funds next year. This year we've done about. So we're hoping to support them and build the business community and yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is huge, and it's, the proposed budget for it was $98 million, so it's not gonna be a small rec center.
Wow. We're trying to get over about 5 million. It's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one coming to Port Hall in southeast, he said will be 78.5.
And southeast? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Was that on your ballot too?
No, this was on previous ballot.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, let's move on to consent agenda. Item number 4, approval of minutes, Lee Planning Agency for Quality NPO, October 2nd, 2025. Got a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor with an eye?
Aye.
And God talks. All opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. All right, let's move into lead planning agency air quality agenda. Item 5, air pollution control division. Jessica, you got a handout in our packet?
Yes, you do. And can folks hear me all right?
Yeah, oh yeah, you sound like God above. It's really loud.
I've been striving for that. Okay. Sorry, my computer was giving me a warning messages that my mic wasn't working, and I got nervous that I'd have to call in. But thank you all for having us here again today to give you a quick verbal update on some of the ongoing activity at the Air Pollution Control Division and Air Quality Control Commission. A couple of high-level announcements. We are moving forward with a rulemaking regarding the control of emissions from what we've identified as priority toxic air contaminants. This is work that we are directed to do pursuant to House Bill 22-1244, the Public Protection from Toxic Air Contaminants Act. The division released some concept language last month, and we'll be moving forward with a rulemaking request before the Air Quality Control Commission in December. The concept of concept language is a little bit new. We recently revised our procedural rules, so 60 days before rulemaking request, the division or any rule proponent will need to release concept language that kind of gives a high-level outline of what regulatory changes they would be looking to make. That includes a bit of a narrative description of what they're doing, as well as some draft red line language. So that is available for folks to review and provide comment on before we go into the rulemaking request. As always, throughout the rulemaking process, there'll be opportunity to continue engaging with the division and other parties to continue shaping the rule. So not a last opportunity to engage on this. The division is also contemplating changes to what's known as Regulation Number 27, or our GEM rules that look at greenhouse gas emissions and energy management from the manufacturing sector. In particular, we're looking at the establishment of a fund that will help support sources subject to the rule in compliance with the rule. There are going to be a couple of opportunities for public engagement on that as we move forward towards a rulemaking request. Another highlight is that pursuant to some of our work to look at reducing emissions of greenhouse gases from midstream oil and gas midstream equipment, we have published our first annual report. This report kind of outlines different actions midstream sources will be taking to comply with the rule and reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. And again, there's public meeting opportunity for that. The last 2 pages on the handout this month is kind of highlight different agenda items before the commission. October was a very busy commission meeting. It was their annual joint meeting with the Board of Health. So in accordance with tradition, we gave an overview of the annual report to the public. This report kind of highlights the different work the commission has done over the years, as well as presenting different data associated with air quality and public health. That is available on our website. We also gave a review of the 2025 ozone season, kind of giving an overview of the monitoring data that were collected, as well as different meteorological trends that impacted ozone formation in our area. Spoiler alert for those who couldn't attend, this season was actually a pretty good ozone season. We had really great favorable meteorology conditions, and we're really seeing some of the work we've been doing to reduce emissions pay off. There is also a good amount of time dedicated to an adjudicatory hearing. This is a bit of a atypical type of hearing for our commission to hear. At least this is the first one I've seen in my time at the commission. So the focus of that was a hearing on a compliance action that was taken in regards to non-compliance with certain asbestos requirements. So the commission heard that hearing and made a decision. Also on the agenda in October, it looks like a lot of stuff, but what we were focused on was updating some certain of our requirements to incorporate the latest iterations of different federal rules that are incorporated into our state rules, as well as making statutorily directed updates to our common provisions to adjust the maximum fines and penalties to keep in line with inflation. Those are written comment only rulemaking, so folks can still provide feedback. However, it will not go through the typical 4-month rulemaking process. The last thing we did in October was provide an update on the implementation of our greenhouse gas fee requirements. So we provided an overview of the different sources that are required to pay the fees, how the fees are distributed, and continued work we are doing to try to continue to implement that program, particularly in light of emissions are going down. But our budget needs are still staying the same. So trying to adjust for the fact that we don't want to be overly, don't want to have the perverse outcome of disincentivizing work to reduce emissions. At our meeting coming up this November, there are a couple of other items of note. One, we will be giving a briefing to the commission on a market study that we have commissioned, looking at the sales trends for electric or non-emitting lawn and garden equipment. This is in response to a directive we got from the commission back in 2023 to kind of look at what those trends are and if the market, particularly for residential equipment, is trending in the direction that we're seeing substantial uptake in the use of electric equipment. We'll also be doing a look at a regulation number 9, which oversees open burning and prescribed fire permitting. And then finally, hot ticket item is our ozone state implementation plan hearing that will be happening this November. We are looking at making revisions to a number of regulations, as well as requesting that the commission adopt our state implementation plan as a non-attainment area, specifically under the 2015 Ozone National Ambient Air Quality Standard. So this entails revisions to regulations number 3, 7, 11, 25, 26, and pertinent to the MPO, the air quality standards designation and emissions budget regulations, which would set the new motor vehicle emission budgets under this latest non-attainment status. A lot of information there, but I do believe Dina has been kind of keeping you up to date, so I don't want to be too redundant, but very happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot of information. I'm trying to get them to let us be a little less busy, but here we are.
Anyone have questions on the line? All right. Jessica, thank you very much. I don't see anybody raising their hand, so you must have done a really good job. All right, let's move on to item 6, North Front Range Air Quality Program updates. Dina.
Good evening. So before I start, I've got to make a disclosure. So I, Dina Wojtak, am the sole proprietor of 2 Roads Environmental, also called TRE. I'm also a RAC board member. TRE contracts with the NFRMPO to apprise staff and council of air quality activities in Colorado, in the Intermountain West, and nationally, and how these activities may affect the NFRMPO. Both the NFRMPO and the RAC have air quality responsibilities in the North Front Range. So tonight, I am here not as a RAC board member, but as your consultant. Okay. Sorry, I got a weird pop-up here. All right, there were lots of things going on, as Jessica just alluded to. I'm just going to hit on a couple of highlights and then spend the bulk of the time on Arizona's 179B analysis, because I know that's been coming up in different circles, and I thought we'd take a look at it and let you know what was in it. So before we get to that, Jessica already mentioned that the commission finalized their annual report and they were briefed on summer 2025 ozone levels. What I thought was interesting in both the briefing and the annual report is they gave a nod to the, the amount of contributions to high ozone levels that are outside of any local authority's ability to control. And so they both indicated, I think there's a quote on the very first page of roughly 45 parts per billion were coming from ozone to the non-attainment area from things that are beyond control, whether it's background, just more than just human emissions. All right. The RAC did hold their ozone modeling forum on October 30th, and they just released some of their modeling of their apportionment tools in the past 24 hours. So I haven't really dug into that. We'll dig into that and come back to you with some more information at a future date. So then jumping down to the section that's other air quality activities, and I really appreciate whoever's trying to keep the screen moving accordingly. All right. So I've been hearing a lot in different conversations about Arizona's 179B analysis. And 179B really focuses on a section of the Clean Air Act that talks about how to address situations where areas would have attained a national ambient air quality standard, but for international contributions. And historically, this part of the Clean Air Act has been reserved for states that bordered Canada and Mexico and really just focused on Canada and Mexico emissions. Well, that's no longer the case, and that's not what we're seeing in Arizona's 179B analysis that's out there. And there is a link to the document in my report if you're looking for that. A couple of things I want to highlight is that EPA worked in partnership with Arizona, both under the Biden and the Trump EPA, to submit this 179B analysis. And from what I'm understanding, EPA is anticipated to propose approving that in the near future. What that means, depends on what's going on with the furloughs, so I'm not going to dig into it, but it's something that we should be looking for. All right, the analysis, and so I reference the MAG or Maricopa Association of Governments. Their analysis goes beyond looking at just international contributions. Their analysis also analyzes wildfire impacts, background, biogenics or natural contributions, meteorology, and long-range transport. So it goes beyond a typical 179B demonstration. And so we can take some cues from this analysis. All right. You're looking for, oh, okay. Sorry. MAG focused on doing a retrospective analysis. And so what that means is they were looking backwards in reference to a past attainment date and using actual monitored data and demonstrating that the area would have attained the standard, but for international contributions and more, like I just mentioned. So I just want to highlight, because sometimes you're going to hear people talk about 179B, and you need to understand, are they looking backwards or are they looking forwards? Because there's two different options there. Arizona's looked backwards. And so their analysis looked at international contributions coming in from Mexico, as well as then Asia, which was very interesting. They have this pretty intense analysis showing what impacts are from Asia. We'll get to that in just a second. MAG's analysis also shows that on average, international contributions from both Mexico and Asia combined, they contributed to about 15 parts per billion to their ozone monitors throughout the year. We're going to get to that graph in here in just a second, but I know some people were specifically interested in that. And that is exactly the graphic. Whoop, it just moved. Sorry. I'm okay. MAG's Okay, so 15 parts per billion contributions throughout the year. However, those international concentrations are lower during the summer ozone season, especially that mid-July through September timeframe when we typically see higher ozone standards, or excuse me, higher ozone levels. Okay, so coming into what is this figure 3.2 in the report, and that's there on page 6 right there. What I think is really interesting looking at this figure, and it's orange and yellow, or orange and darker orange maybe. What's really interesting is that contributions during this July 15th through September 15th timeframe were much lower than what they were in the spring. And so the deeper orange is what's coming from Asia, and the lighter orange is what's coming from Mexico. And so you saw this dip that's really happening in that summer, those summer months when we typically see higher levels. And so I thought that was interesting. I think this points to meteorology and weather being a big factor in what's contributing to ozone levels and how it's being transported into different regions in the U.S. All right, then moving on. They also looked at the amount of wildfire impacts on monitored ozone levels, illustrating that ozone levels would have been much closer, if not below, the 70 parts per billion standard. So here what you're looking at, the orange bars is where there's no wildfire influence. And you see the orange bars are right around maybe just under, maybe just over that 70 parts per billion standard. But in many cases, it's those gray bars, and that's the wildfire contribution days, took them over that standard. And so that was certainly a contributing factor to what was going on at ozone at their monitors in the Maricopa area. I think that's the Phoenix area. All right. Moving on to the next set of graphics. All right, you've got some pictures of the continental US. All right, MAGS 179B analysis also looked at background ozone and both what models predicted for July of 2011, and then they also compared that to what was actually tracked from Asia alone on a specific date. And so on the left-hand side, in the top left, you're seeing the green values are the higher values, green and yellow are the higher values. And so the models were predicting an impact, right around Colorado, kind of looking like it ends somewhere around the Front Range area. But then on the right-hand side, they tracked it specific, a contribution specific from Asia on a different time frame. So it was on May 24th, 2017. But it shows you that the higher contributions were slightly different from what the models were predicting. And so models are useful. They're not perfect in any way. And so we have to find a way to look at, again, what's more than contributions from just Canada and Mexico. We have to start looking at what's coming to us from Asia. All right, in the graph right below that, figure 211 shows the background levels. Wait, go back. There you go. Figure 211 shows the background levels vary vertically, which is a factor when we see that turbulent mixing along the Front Range that brings the ozone from higher levels down lower, and that turbulent mixing has an impact. So what you see in those three graphs in section or figure 211 are, a view of what background ozone was at different levels. And so one is the boundary layer, one is the mid troposphere, one is the stratosphere. So it's just different in altitude pretty much. And so there's a big difference between what's down below with us and what gets mixed in or can get mixed in should we have those weather events. All right, so in short, Arizona's 179B analysis addresses much more than just international contributions, and it also included significant support from EPA. So they were involved in some of the modeling. And so it also looked beyond just what was, being contributed from Canada and Mexico. So these are a couple of takeaways I just wanted to point out, because when I'm hearing about 179B analyses, I think people are assuming that it's just international contributions. And I want to highlight it was way more than that. And it was way more than just Canada and Mexico. All right. So to wrap up, last thing I have to highlight is Jessica already did it for me. We've got the November 19th Air Quality Control Commission meeting on the ozone SIP. Again, this is just an action on portions of the SIP because Colorado is going to be seeking a voluntary reclassification. There's certain elements that they don't have to put together at this point, including like RACT analyses, specific control technologies, and modeling attainment demonstrations. So with that, I will take questions.
Any questions for Nina?
I have a question about, some of the work that Arizona had done. Was that statewide, or did you say that was sort of their non-attainment area around the sort of Phoenix area?
Yeah, that's for the Phoenix area, very specific to their non-attainment area.
And so they were doing an analysis, or were they applying for an exemption? They were doing an analysis first and applying for an exemption. Are they applying for an exemption to those ozone, the ozone
Contributors.
So that 179B analysis, if ultimately approved, so again, EPA is going to go through a process of proposing to approve it. They'll take comments on it, and then they will finalize their action at some later date. What that does, as Arizona has explained it to me, is it's going to keep them in a holding pattern. They will not continue to be downgraded to a worse classification because they're not attaining at the monitors. This other information, whether it's the international contributions or the other things that they've included in it, is satisfying EPA's requirements, current EPA's requirements on downgrading or not needing to downgrade them. They would have attained but for these other contributions.
So the way correct me if I'm wrong, the way I understood it, I just want to make sure that this study, if they agree with this 15 parts per billion, whatever they're agreed, that will always come off anytime they're doing a monitoring system. That study would remove those background from their number.
I don't know that for a fact. Jessica Furco is raising her hand, so I'm going to let her respond.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky, but this is a similar question that we've asked of Arizona. We've also been interested in the work they're doing and understanding what our other Intermountain West states are up to. My understanding is that it is a modeling exercise that may need to be repeated in the future at such a time when EPA is looking again at reclassification.
Yeah.
It's not particularly cut and dry, but there is an understanding that it may need to be repeated.
Yeah.
As with all things in the Clean Air Act, there's a lot of ambiguity.
Okay.
And one more question are other factors besides, so I thought that 179B was just related to the international emissions or international, emissions that contribute to ozone. Are those other factors like wildfire and I guess topography and weather and all that, are those considered then? As
So
part
from
of the application, or I don't know the process exactly.
so from what I'm hearing, and again, we'll see more when EPA proposes to approve it. There's going to be a lot in that preamble supporting their, the reason they're supporting it. From my understanding, Arizona or EPA is pointing to Arizona's this analysis as the gold standard. This is what you need to do. So we'll see more, and it sounds like as soon as EPA acts on Arizona's 179B analysis, and right behind it is Utah. Utah is going to have one. I haven't looked at as closely at that to see if they have gone to as much detail and addressing more than just international contributions. So it's something that's, I just want us to stay tuned. But I just wanted to alert people that it seems like what EPA is saying and people are calling a 179B analysis, there's much more to it than just looking at international contributions.
Just to chime in, because I find this stuff fascinating and I can't help myself, but my understanding does closely track Dina's. So these additional analyses are being incorporated as part of what's kind of referred to as the weight of evidence. So saying, we took a look at these international contributions, we saw these results, that we could have attained, we would have attained. In addition to that, here are these other analyses that kind of support that same conclusion. So looking at, as Dina mentioned, the topography, the influence of like wildfire events and other what are kind of referred to as atypical events. So it's an everything in the kitchen sink approach. You meet that baseline and then you throw on the rest. Not for nothing, I believe Arizona's 179B demonstration was close to like 700 pages with all the like technical support documents included. So it was a very robust analysis.
50,000 pages. Bill?
Yeah. Do we know if Utah is going to use the same year, 2023? I'm just curious because there are a lot of things that could, weather patterns change from year to year, manufacturing changes based on local weather. China has shut down manufacturing when things get real bad, which is largely driven by weather. So I'm wondering if there's going to be more than 1 year's worth of data to better understand the drivers. Because just saying it's 15 parts per billion and on average in 1 year might not really be the whole story.
So the only response I have to that is I think it's stay tuned and let's see, what comes out in terms of EPA's proposed approval of these demonstrations. We're going to hear a lot more about it in the coming months.
That's why I think they have to repeat it.
Yeah, exactly. That's my
I think maybe if you get into this, you're going to have to repeat this modeling a little bit more often until you have
a better understanding
qualified database.
Yeah.
But if it's just Arizona, when you start getting other states and other areas coming in, you'll start being able to build a better database.
Yep.
One of the things that I think you skipped over that I want to come back to is recommendation. Northern Range should decide whether or not to consider providing public comments on the AQACO zone SIP rulemaking on November 19th.
Yeah, so we didn't actually submit public comments that were due on our written comments on the 4th. And essentially that I would say based on the feedback I've received from council is you guys are, we didn't see anything that didn't support APCD's rules. So, unless you want me to, or the chair wants to get on and say we support the rule that's being presented on behalf of the organization, I didn't have any other recommended comments, and I don't know if, Dina and I had talked about it, but I didn't have any other recommended comments outside of, because no additional proposals were submitted. So what we have received is my understanding is what the AQCC is going to consider.
I wanted to make sure I asked the question.
No, I think it's
As a representative division, we always appreciate positive comments, really stating.
I
Well, if I'm coming, it's not gonna be all so positive.
Would you like me to participate again on that evening and submit comments on behalf of the organization, just saying that we support APCD?
I think we should be at least, yeah, part of it, personally. Anybody disagree with that? Okay. Got an answer. Thank you very much, Dina.
You're very welcome.
Number 7, Commissioner Stevens, Regional Air Quality Council, RAC.
Right, so, the RAC has been kind of, kind of neat to see the things that, I was going to, there's the RAC report.
It's there.
Is that the one? I did not prepare this, so I don't know if somebody.
That's what they presented at TAP. That was their TAP report, so
Oh,
it's not
okay.
included in the packet.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, you can see that for more detail. I mean, that the blueprint will, be voted on tomorrow. It is, there's not, very much more sort of data that's included with the blueprint, so it's, the blueprint, work in progress. It's not, or it's a living document, so it will be filled in as more information. These are just, in a way, it's suggestions that will go to, is my understanding, suggestions that will go to CDPHE. Different control strategies, and those are listed on. But, we've seen 2 or 3 iterations of that, right? So this is, there is stakeholder engagement that has been included. But the strategies are in, I believe, in Dina's report as well.
Page 33, most frequently commented on. Indirect sources, oil and gas, vehicle inspection, maintenance, electric generating, landscape, summertime pre-train.
So, kind of nothing that we have, nothing kind of that we haven't seen, honestly. I don't know if it's interesting because we'll be voting on something that doesn't feel 100% complete. Because, there's just multiple control strategies that are listed out, that are suggestions to go forward with CDPHE. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that document and you have any response that you want me to bring tomorrow. We are having our retreat, on any specific, control strategies, but we talked about them.
Anything? Commissioner?
I think that one of the things that I know that this board had asked for was, especially around, I think, emissions of, car emissions, is costs for consumers, right? I think that was.
That was our number 1,
Mhm.
because it affects the most vulnerable population.
Right, and so, that's something that will be interesting if some of those costs are applied to that document and come in, whether we want to kind of say, we'd rather not consume the strategy, or, really only if we have funds to be able to help people fix those issues. So, I think that there's some decent strategies here that could lower, the emissions that contribute to ground ozone. I don't know, it's not clear which ones are give us the most bang for the buck yet.
And they just have the ozone forum. So,
Oh, yeah, I wasn't able to attend that on October 30th.
That's the data that we're assuming is going to essentially connect to that moving forward. So they just sent out an email follow-up today saying that they released the dashboard. I will share that with the council. My understanding is anybody can go in and drill down into some of the data with that dashboard that they're identifying. And so I think future discussions that you'll have is, how they're utilizing that data, to your point, Commissioner, on which strategies they're applying it to and what reduction you see from those strategies. I think that that's what you guys have always been asking, is you want to see with the strategies, you know, the reductions that are being applied to them. And so my hope is that this is gonna assist with that effort, but.
Well, tracking what works and what doesn't. I mean, I think that's the key.
Right.
Why do something if it's not helping? And if it's not helping, reevaluate, figure out what's.
Right, and I think that they'll be, all of the strategies will be more fleshed out in that way. And we do want to adopt things that will change things, especially if they're costly for either industry or consumers, right? That has to be considered as well. So where are we seeing that, you know, that's the most bang for our buck, knowing that there are other contributing factors to ground level ozone that we don't have control over. Still worthwhile to try to achieve those numbers for health reasons for our community. So, but there again, don't want to, and no pun intended, spin our wheels on things that aren't going to make a difference and really are very costly. You know, are problematic. And so, I guess it doesn't feel like something that, you know, we're necessarily opposed to any particular strategy at this point because I don't think we have enough information, but if anybody feels differently, please let me know.
All right, anything else?
By the way, we've not seen a thing on any of this, so.
We, the commission.
Okay.
And I sit
Well,
on,
there aren't as many things that honestly, a lot of the there aren't a ton of strategies that are related specifically to transportation. Some are related to
I
transportation.
remember 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think there's a handful of things that are related, and then others that relate more to industry, right? And so,
yeah, we've not seen a thing. And by the way, I sit on the subcommittee for greenhouse gas, and we're meeting tomorrow. But it's in North Front Range NPO report that's going to be reviewed. But we've not seen any of this at all, by the way.
And just so that you're aware, the North Front, we're pulling our GHG report for the November FCC meeting.
Oh,
We've asked, yeah, sorry. We've asked
never mind.
We've asked Herman to move it to January.
Oh, January's going to get crowded. Okay.
You get paid to pay.
Well, we just thought December with the 10-year plan, that might be more.
Oh, I've got news about the 10-year plan. Report to follow.
All right, so we're moving on with that wonderful news. We'll go to item 8, non-attainment area pollution mitigation enterprise.
okay, so we're finding that after kind of a three-month hiatus, and basically approved the draft fiscal year 27 budget. We expect to get about $17 million from the different funding mechanisms that we have. That'll be added to, you know, any rollover that we have. Probably looking forward to getting our large grant out maybe next year, a large grant program out next year that will likely be for DRT and things like probably likely DRT in the non-attainment area. So I'll let you know as soon as, but we don't have we don't have any kind of details on that one yet. So I imagine that's at least 6 months out.
Any questions on that? All right, moving on to item 9, report from chair. One of the things I want to mention is tonight's a little bit of a sad night. For the last 4 years, we've had a couple of our council, our board members that weren't as fortunate in the elections. And, I would say that I watched it very close because you're not from range members. I know keeping our team together is always a good thing. But Tricia, John, you guys have been great partners on this board, and you will be drastically missed because you've come a long way in learning and knowing and being participants and understanding. And this is not an easy industry to be in and understand. I mean, we have 7,000 3-letter acronyms that you have to learn in that time frame.
And it'll be hard to forget. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you might wake up in the middle of the night thinking about, nappy, what is that?
That's how she gets to sleep now.
But I want to say, I just want to
There
say,
was one I found today that was not in the glossary.
what, so you did find one?
Well, we gotta get it added.
Gotta add it. But is there, I would love to open the floor to anybody. You guys will be drastic. And I'm very sorry for what you guys did. I'm sometimes wonder if you should be sorry for losing because you don't have to deal with that headache anymore. But anybody else want to say anything? John, you want to say anything?
Yeah, if this is the time to say it.
I think it is.
I appreciate everybody in this room that helped me throughout the last 4 years, I guess. I started out with this much transportation knowledge, but a lot of interest. And I ended up with a lot more knowledge. Nobody has all the knowledge, not even you, Johnny. You're still learning.
I learn every day.
Point in case in point. So anyway, I've learned a lot. I still have a lot of interest in transportation. I don't know what the future will bring, but you may see me around other capacities. And please stop me, say hello, and thanks to everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Mhm.
You will be missed. Yes, sir.
Much the same, thank you to all of you for, helping me grow in this area and become a better member of this commission. It's been such a pleasure to work with you. I don't know how long you've been here because I took over for the mayor at some point in time, but Elizabeth, it's been great.
You've been here most of my time.
Yeah. But I just really enjoyed getting to know all of you and working together to improve transportation, air quality, and everything else. North Front Range, NPO. So thank you all.
Thank you for you guys.
See you next month.
Oh, you will be here next month? Awesome. Okay. Awesome.
I won't be.
You got your conference one in
18th.
the 18th.
So I'm a Mayor Pro Tem lame duck, if you need a title. You need another acronym.
Well, John
Yeah.
still does represent North Front Range on the Pacific Trail. His term, doesn't
Yeah.
expire until 2028.
Right, and I guess we'll have to think about what that looks like, because the NPO gets to appoint those folks, and to have folks that aren't on the board, I don't know, we'll have to decide how we feel about that, right? Because we would like the reports back, and I think, I don't know, I think that's something to consider, whether we want to keep people who are no longer on the board in those roles. I just think that can be complicated because there's a reporting back mechanism that sometimes doesn't happen. And so then and I'm not saying I want to take you guys off that board, I'm just saying that, like, do you want to come back every month and talk to us about what's happening, and then how will you get information for us to take back to them? So, that sort of remains to be seen whether that's an ideal situation.
And I would like to say I would be up for doing that if you would consider keeping me on the board. I'm up for reappointment next month, but I have, again, it's one of those areas where there's a lot of information coming at you. I'm on 2 different committees there, and I feel very invested in our city. I'd like to keep moving it forward, so I would be very happy to come everyone to the NPO meeting. For that.
Same here. I'll be retired after the 18th. I'll have plenty of time.
This is what you want to do with that?
You thought I was crazy, now you know.
Yeah, we checked the box, haven't we? We got our pencil over it. Really.
Yeah, I think we can certainly.
Yeah, I think in the next board meeting, we can have that discussion. Sure it gets on the agenda.
It's already on the agenda because Tricia's technically determined, so we have to do an election.
Well, might have to do 2, or we might.
Whatever.
And does the appointment, so is there anything in the bylaws that prevent that?
It's laid out.
You do not have to be a current elected official. You could be a former elected official. But you're representing the North Front Range. So these are the North Front Range council appointments. So you are representing it, you're not representing it on behalf of the city of Loveland or the city of Fort Collins, you're representing on behalf of.
Right, and then we specifically had two from Larimer County because of Bluff County being exempted out of the potential tax interest.
Yeah, 1141.
Yeah, I mean,
So whose decision is it? Is it the NPO authorizing it?
It's this board.
Okay.
So this board is who appoints for the government.
And you'll run with that ball next month.
Yeah. And then there's alternate, the alternates, and both of you don't ever leave, but this we can play into consideration.
But I guess officially, just so I understand it, I'll be representing the North Front Range passenger rail, even though my concept remains. So,
Yeah, for group, yeah.
got it. All right.
Do we need to come up with a alternate, like, just in case of something, since they're both just back in the capacity of just passenger rail? Do we need a third person up kind of stuff? Just to be still sufficient.
Yeah, because they're overlapped.
Yeah.
We just ran into a buzz on this
Becky's here. She did the research. You're comfortable with everything we're discussing?
We can only have two representatives. I don't know that there we can talk to, you know, that's awesome, ultimate.
Yeah. Right.
And I mean, I think John and I have been both very active.
I'm
for it
comfortable with
to show up,
whatever the board decides.
yeah, I mean, I will say my concern is the reporting to and from the organization. Right, and so, you know, and there again, if, you know, if people are willing to make that commitment, I mean, we, as a board, like, need that communication because they're representing this board. And so if we don't have that back and forth relationship, then, you know, you could be representing yourselves or your city or, you know, I mean, like, you understand that's the difficulty in having someone who's not an elected member of this board go out and represent this board.
But I will say this, I have more time representing the board after my term runs out than I have.
No, yeah,
So-
yeah, I just think that we need to, if we're gonna do that, we need to clarify the report back and the report too, because we might wanna send things forward to that board that we agree on in this board too.
So are you suggesting that, the representatives would need to attend?
They would have to attend this meeting.
They'd have
I mean,
to
they would have to keep
attend this meeting on a regular basis and commit to that.
And there's a way to move them up in the agenda, we can move them up in the.
No, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, but I mean-
This interests me, the whole thing, so I'm perfectly willing to stay for the.
Checking another one.
You're giving me an out, and I'm not taking it.
I think we'll have a very robust discussion.
No, Mr. Chair, that was I was going to ask that. You mentioned this will be in the next meeting as well? This is Will Cartwright.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
All righty.
Not that I have any intention of taking him back, but I'd love to discuss this too. Thank you.
I was wondering what that was, that one, maybe it.
Scorched earth. No, no. I'm just like to discuss it.
Thanks, Will.
They judge it all by the burn scar and how long it takes for things to grow back, and I think you were burned 6.
Yeah.
10 years before growth. All right, we're gonna move on to executive director's report.
Go through this quick. I just wanted to let you guys know that we did do our annual Van Gogh survey. We did get pretty much really typical good responses on the program. 97% of the van pullers agree that the staff is doing an excellent job of providing customer services. Just as a reminder, the survey is for all of our 78 participants and for our 22 routes. So we continue to offer a good service for the region. So we're really proud of that. I just want to remind the council, if you can, to go ahead and take our free survey. We sent it out on October 14th. You knew there was one. So if you wouldn't mind participating on that, we would appreciate it. And if you, I believe we also have a link on our website. If you're looking for it, if you need us to resend it, we can resend it. Also, speaking of air quality, just as a reminder in NATME, the RAC is reaching out to our Weldon Larimer County partners because of the NATME funds that they received to help promote the RAC projects in our region, essentially. So these are some of the programs they already have in place, and then they want to help move them up into our region and make them possible. So, and I don't know how familiar you guys are with the programs that they do in the metro area, but these are like the clean air auto repair, their engines off programs, their simple steps, better air. So they are meeting with basically the health departments, I would say, of the counties to say, you know, who should we be reaching out to? How can we coordinate, facilitate getting some of these, taking advantage of the funding that they received to implement in our region. So stay tuned on that. They met with Well this week, Larimer's next.
Are they dividing that money between the counties?
Well, that was one of my questions. And they said that they're still working on the budget. And I can't remember what their application said, and maybe we can.
I'm not sure the application that NAMP explained exactly what the division is. I mean, it makes sense. The counties are roughly the same size.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if you want to, are there non-attainment, well is all non-attainment, Larimer is mostly in the non-attainment area, there's some. Yeah, we've implemented some of the stuff that our department helped with our own dollars anyway, so, I think it'll be good, it'll be great to get some of those dollars out to the health conditions for cars.
Yeah, when they have a better plan, you know, I'm hoping it'll be part of the update that the RAC will provide once they figure out what their budget is and what they're gonna shoot for. Stay tuned. You know, we officially did close our First National Bank account this last week, the week before, and so we are officially moved after 22 years of banking with FNBO to Chase Bank. We are moving forward now with our financial system and moving it over from Great Plains to Acumatica. So in December, you guys should receive our Q1, 2, and 3 unaudited financial reports. So we're getting caught up. I did want to let you know that we have officially released our RFP bid for our travel demand model. And the next on the list will be for our audit services and our IT services. So the goal would be to get those, my hope is to try and get those posted later this month for the holidays, so that we can get somebody on board and under contract by the first of the year, because audit services are only this weekend. So that one's a priority. Speaking of IT services, we did officially migrate to the cloud as an organization. It went about as, I think, I don't know. I would say as smooth as possible. We had some hiccups. Staff's probably like, but we survived.
Smooth as a broken leg or a broken nose? It's whether it's smooth.
We're officially not on a server, so the good news is I would say, as from an IT perspective, all of our network equipment is officially up to date. We are 100% up to date. So
Is it faster now?
yeah. The only thing, I knew you would ask. I'm getting an access point. We have only one access point in the building. I'm getting another one. Those 2 access points should be installed.
And then it will be faster.
And then it'll be faster. So that's our last network purchase that we made. We also did complete our 2024 CIRSA audit of our building, and we scored 109 and 104. Apparently, you can score more than 100 points, and we did. I think, you know, back in 2024, we had CPR and first aid training, and it pushed us above 100 points. So who knew that those trainings would you know, our 2025 CERSA audit will be in February of 26. So trying to get caught up on those as well. Speaking of building, the building, for me, I got an email saying that our building is getting purchased by a new owner. So that's why they haven't been responding to me renegotiating the lease. And they won't renegotiate the lease with me now until that sale has occurred, and it is expected to occur on December 11th. So they said I did have to sign an estoppel contract saying that they will honor our current lease through our lease term, which is February 28, 2027. But I did ask Suzette to reevaluate our rates and available office space, and it does appear to me that we are paying probably $3 to $4 more a square foot than other agencies. So we will be, once after we have new ownership, I will be reaching out to see if we can renegotiate that lease sooner and see what our options are. I just wanted to follow up with you on that because I know it came up at meeting. FHWA is scheduled to come up next Friday and meet and do a leadership meeting with us. So we will spend a few hours with them, hanging out with them. And I also did want to let you guys know that on the 18th, our organization, our staff, we are going to have an off-site organization deep dive meeting at Silverdale Ranch. It's just going to be a day event where we're just going to, I'm new. We have a lot of people who are new. Department of Local Affairs, Chris LeMay, our regional manager, is going to facilitate the meeting. And we're going to spend the morning kind of going through our NPO 101, what is an NPO, some of the just fundamentals and basics of our organization and what we're federally mandated to do, why we exist. And then in the afternoon, maybe just talk some strategies about, who we are as an organization, who we want to be, and who we can be. What are we allowed to do, maybe that we're not doing, and just have some open dialogue with that and see where it goes. But we're going to do it off-site, so don't come by the office on me. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that. Yeah. So.
Okay. Any questions for executive director? I'm gonna have to give her more time on the agenda.
We have a lot going on. I apologize. I know. They'll get shorter, I promise.
We're already behind schedule. So finance, number 11, finance committee, it's written. Number 12, Q325 tip modification, written on page 36. 13, TAP, written, page 37. And 14, mobility, written, it's in a handout. All right. So let's go to our first item on presentations, number 15, North I-25 Managed Lanes tolling presentation by our wonderful Piper.
Can I just sit at the table? Do I need to go to the podium?
Podium, you gotta be up front.
There's a clicker
We're a
on the
little bit
stand.
more formal than
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay.
transportation.
Right, we're very formal.
Like I and everything.
Thank you. This is my clicker. Well, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you to Cecil. He is the chair of the CTIO board, recently appointed. So congratulations to Cecil, but appreciate him organizing this and getting us some spot on the agenda. So I really appreciate the chance to be here. When I was going back through my notes, I was here at your meeting last year in November, not virtually, but Cecil and I were talking about Senate Bill 184 and some of the efforts around rail and transit. But tonight I really wanted to come and focus on what's happening in your backyard and tolling commencement that is about to occur for segment 6, 7, and 8. You've probably seen the tolls waived and testing signs have been up for quite a while. So we have been workshopping upcoming toll rates with our board. So I wanted to provide some information on that and also talk about our safety and tolling enforcement program, which is going to be going live as well. So, and then really just a chance to connect with you all, and if there's other questions, and Cecil can chime in on any of these things too. So maybe I guess I'm controlling my own slide. So I think most of you know who we are, but I just always get to just kind of level set again. We were one of the original enterprises. I know NAPME is a newer enterprise at CDOT, but we were created in 2009 into the faster legislation along with the Bridge and Tunnel Enterprise. And as this group is aware, in 2024, our statute was sort of opened up. We were more explicitly directed, and they clarified that really our duties also involve a whole host of multimodal projects, including rail and transit, and really more explicitly directed CTO to pursue, congestion management projects that were really focused on, GHG reduction. So we've been really focused on that this last year at CTIO, so we can provide some updates there. So really, we operate as a government business. You all know us as the owner and operator of the Express Lanes network in the metro area, and we have helped, deliver P3s and all sorts of, we have all sorts of tools in the toolbox, as I like to say, that CDOT doesn't have at its disposal. So just a quick overview of kind of who we are as a reminder. Again, our main revenue streams are tolls, our user fees. Our new revenue stream was created under Senate Bill 184 is the congestion impact fee. So we just started collecting that in January, and that's the $3 a day on rental cars. So we, again, we've only been collecting that just shy of a year. So that's our main new revenue stream that's going to help advance the first phase of Front Range Passenger Rail, which is joint service, and also Mountain Rail. And just a kind of a snapshot of what we've done since we were created in 2010. Again, we're really leveraging those user fees to help finance projects. A big one of those is right in your backyard. We've really successfully been able to implement a strategy to help deliver 6, 7, 8, and what is now delivering 5, segment 5, and what already delivered segments 2 and 3 closer to the Denver metro area. So you all are the recipients of kind of our tools and tools in the toolbox here as it relates to I-25. But, we have projects all over the metro area and going into the mountains as well. But what I'm really here to talk about today is, what's happening here up north. A quick reminder, this is sort of what our network looks like overall. We have opened a lot of new express lanes in the past couple of years, most notably I-25 South Gap from Castle Rock to Monument, Central 70, going from Denver to Den. I keep saying DIA, but Den. Opened also in the last couple of years. Boyd Hill is under construction. You're all very aware Segment 5 is under construction. Last year, we saw almost 15% average HOV use across our network, which is really exciting. Most all of our lanes do offer HOV3 for free. The lanes here will also offer HOV for free, or HOV3 plus. So if you've got the transponder, people can ride for free in the vehicle. So we do see, especially on I-25, really high HOV usage throughout the corridor. And we had 33 million trips, or 33 million vehicles using the express lanes, and 4.7 million trips taken by those HOV3 users. So our network is growing. We are, I think, currently the 4th largest express lane operator in the country. So we're putting Colorado on the map from the lens of express lanes. So we're doing a lot here in the state, really trying to be innovative in our use of all the congestion management tools we have at our disposal. So we in September, we had a workshop with our board on what our proposed toll rates are going to be. A quick reminder of sort of what our operational policy is for this corridor. These lanes are going to be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. These are different. The only lanes that we open part-time are up in the mountains. If you ever travel there, we have the part-time shoulder lanes that open during peak hours to help relieve congestion. But I-25 north lanes are going to function pretty similarly, just to segments 2 and 3 if you guys drive down to the metro area. So again, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We will be allowing HOV3 plus with people with a switchable transponder. Motorcycles can continue to use the express lanes for free. Vehicles with 4 or more axles will be paying a surcharge. We would rather we don't really want them in the lane. We prefer they stay in the right-hand lane, really just to improve traffic flow. So there is a surcharge if they do decide to use the express lane. And we are currently tolling under time of day. So the initial toll rates that the board has considered will have a rate kind of in the morning during commute time, a different rate kind of through the middle of the day. We are switching to what's called dynamic pricing on some of our other lanes, and eventually these will also switch to dynamic pricing, which is really a more market-based approach to timing. So we have the technological capability to essentially adjust the tolls in real time to sort of respond to demand. So that will be going live, we think, up here probably in the middle of next year. Once we get tolling, the transactions coming in we need to figure out what those right parameters would look like for dynamic tolling, right? We normally set a cap and a floor, so we kind of need to see what traffic looks like. So we'll be going live with time of day pricing if the board approves toll rates at our upcoming meeting in a couple of weeks.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
See, something
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Vehicles with four or more axles pay surcharge, so like, I got 2 axles on my truck, but I'm pulling a trailer with it, so would I pay that 25?
Yep.
So even if it's just a trailer, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, good
Does it
question.
ever have one axle or two?
That was more than 4. When you
Yeah.
say more than 2,
Yeah, it'll read it as like a vehicle. The cameras would read the trailer like attached to your car, so.
Okay, I mean, a lot of trailers just have one axle.
Mhm.
So that would be a
That's
three
not
axle,
a
not a
heavy
four.
duty trailer.
Yeah.
I got 2.
But
You just gotta know.
Uh,
Use it.
And that,
I just
that,
go handy in the-
and the board is asked to look at that $25, because that has not changed since day one.
I think when I remember it, we talked, it was a lot back in the day, it was about freight being in there more than it was.
Yeah.
Like me pulling a trailer with a razor on it or something.
Yeah, it's the bigger vehicles that are the issue, the freight. And so staff is now looking at whether that $25, because it hasn't been changed since day one, since 2009. So it might change.
But that's per segment. And that would
That's
be-
per segment.
Because you could be like $100 by the time you got to Denver.
And it doesn't matter if you have three people, yeah.
No.
No. No, good question.
It's a
Yeah.
surcharge.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got hit with it and I thought it was just freight vehicles.
Sorry.
So there'll be time of day, and then the dynamic pricing will be determined after you see kind of where the need is for that.
Yes, yeah.
And does that dynamic, you can vary that, I mean, you'll be kind of keeping an eye on what that traffic looks like, and can literally be like, all right, now it should be $10 to get.
It's pretty consistent once you figure it out, the congestion and the reach points, and once you get it set and they identify that.
Unless you have a big event or something.
Or you have
You
a
know,
highway
like an
shutdown
air
or something,
show
but
or
typically
something
that
like
changes.
that.
Yeah, and so dynamic pricing has been live on Central 70 for over a year. And normally what the board will approve is a maximum and a floor, right? So we do not want to see $60 toll rates, right? So currently I think our maximum on Central 70 is $6. So it would, I think for the public, they're not going to really notice a huge spike in a toll rate. It's just the frequency at which it changes will again be more frequent depending on traffic conditions. So far in Central 70, it has been a tool that has worked. So the board would approve again a maximum and a floor, and then an increment and a decrement rate, like how quickly it's
And
going
that's
to
for
go up
each
and by what
segment.
increment.
Each segment might have a different.
So, and the board generally, through our tolling policy, looks at all of our tolling corridors annually to see if there needs to be adjustments, either up or down. In the case of dynamic tolling, if that floor needs to be adjusted, or even just the increment and decrement need to change in order to kind of maximize speeds. So yeah, we need to kind of open first to see sort of what traffic volumes look like, what speeds look like, till we kind of go live with dynamic tolling. But happy to provide information via Cecil for this group too. But I think generally the public really won't notice a difference. I think on Central 70, we've got one public comment. Because yeah, our goal is we do not want to see huge spikes in the toll rate. We want to keep it reasonable. Our goal is always really to manage throughput and have a reasonable toll. So it's more of a behind the scenes tool. I think we've seen that mostly the public hasn't noticed, or especially if you have a pass, you're kind of going to get in and use it, and you may not be noticing that it's changing the part of the time driving.
But it'll still be posted.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, but so far it's been a great tool for us. We've seen a lot of success with just helping to tweak speed management and just throughput a little bit, especially on peak times, at least on Central 70, is kind of our current frame of reference. So.
Sorry, I asked a question.
No, it's okay. I mentioned it, so. But so currently the rates that people would be expecting to see will range from $1 to to just shy of $5 for express toll holders and $2 to $9.50 for license plate tolls, depending on the time of day. And our current estimated go live for tolling is January. So right now they're out there testing. We need to make sure that all those transactions are flowing from the roadway to the back office, so they're in the testing phase. So that's our current timeline. So the board will be asked to take action on these at our meeting in, next week, and we hope to have those go live right after the new year.
What percentage of users have the express toll?
We have it's roughly in the 70% range. It's very high. And when someone gets a license plate toll, E470 does all of our back office or the owner of express toll, we will send them a notice to say, hey, do you know you could get a lower toll rate if you want to sign up for an account? It's really a benefit to them and honestly us, because then they have an account set up, they've got a credit card on file, so it helps us reduce leakage. License plate tolls are often hard to collect on.
Well, that's what was gonna be my next
Yeah,
question.
yeah. So it's high, and we do try to encourage people to sign up, especially if they do get that license plate toll. That, oh, you know, your toll could be half if you, especially if you're a frequent user. It makes a lot of sense. So.
And the license plate processing is much, much more expensive to process. That's the reason for that. It does cost us that.
Yeah, there's a human set of eyes that has
Yeah.
to review those. Whereas if you have an account, they know your plate and it's automatic. So yeah, to Cecil's point, it is a labor cost for processing them. So we hope to encourage everyone to just get an express toll. It's much easier all around for the customer and for us. And then I wanted to touch on our safety and tolling enforcement program. I don't know how many of you have heard about this. You probably have. We've been blasting this area with news stories and social media. I know Cecil came to our board meeting with the newspaper with an article in it. But back in 2022, the state legislature passed a bill requiring us to use technology to help and really enforce safety violations, right? Weaving is a big problem on the express lane. We are not able to have a barrier that separates the express lane from the general purpose lane, which just doesn't work for snow operations and for a whole lot of other reasons. So we were able to partner with a technology company to really implement a technological solution. We have it currently active on segments 2 and 3 down by the Denver metro area. It's active in the mountains, it's active on C470, Central 70, and South Gap. So we are going to be pairing that with the toll and go live. And really the purpose is safety, right? We're also enforcing people who are trying to avoid paying a toll by weaving. So it's a safety issue for us. It's helping us to reduce leakage, so losing toll revenue by not able to read the cars that are driving in the lanes at the appropriate toll points. And again, it's $75 if you pay within the first 20 days, and then it goes up to $150.
Each cross.
Yes.
So if you cross 6 times going to Denver, I know I love it because I want to. 25,
Yeah,
75, 75.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's so many people crossing.
It's not as many, but there's people that they're still.
We lost 2 Van Goghs. Total 2 Van Goghs. People doing that.
Pulling out.
Mhm.
And it was really.
Not our drivers.
She could probably tell you the number, but the reduction of accidents on segment 2 and 3 have been outrageous.
Yeah, sure. I'll go back. I'm gonna go to my stats and then I'll go back. But yeah, so far we have seen an 86% drop in the violation rate across the whole network. It's been significant. The behavior change, as if you all notice, right? It's been notable, and most people are only receiving 1 or 2 violations. 91%. And I think of that 91%, the 1 violation is like 76%. So most people are getting the message with the first civil penalty. And I-25 segments 2 and 3 make up roughly 37% of all the violations. I think we're up at about 350,000 violations total. But the interesting thing is we just went live on Central 70 and South Gap in January, and those corridors saw a much lower initial violation rate than we did for the original corridors. So I think 6, 7, and 8 are going to have a pretty low violation rate because 1, if they drive on 2 and 3, they would have heard the message. And we have been investing a lot of money in communications and outreach we don't want people to get a civil penalty. We just want them to get in the lane, take the through trip, and pay the toll. So we've really focused, going back a little bit, on getting the word out. The CTIO board directed staff this year to reinvest a lot of those safety and toll enforcement civil penalties in communications, with the goal of, one, also just educating the public on how to use the lanes safely, and also about the program to try to drive down that violation rate. So these are some of the areas we've been focusing on in 2025. A lot up and down, obviously the I-25 corridor and into the mountains. I don't think there's a channel we have not tried. I think we have been reaching people on Facebook with a lot of geo-targeting. We have been out there with billboards. We have had a lot of TV advertising on, a lot of publications, both digital and in print. So we're really trying to do everything we can to get the word out.
And your signage is pretty clear.
Thank you.
I mean, you drive down the road, it says, double yellow light, do it, $75 fine. I mean, it's pretty clear on the road.
Yeah.
If you read signs.
You might be
Or if
someone
you
that
can
goes
read.
into signs
Some of
more
us
than
can't
others.
read.
Yeah, so we're really trying to get the word out. So you'll probably see a lot of increased communications over the next month or so, just on the rollout of the STEP program. Again, really, our message is it's about safety. We are leveraging a grace period. So if people get crossed within the first 30 days, they'll get a courtesy notification that says, hey, did you know this would have been a penalty? So we're leveraging that grace period again as really a teaching tool. So you'll see some communications about that. So the grace period will be for the first 30 days, and then people will start getting fines. We saw a lot of success with the grace period on our other corridors. So again, we're really trying to combine kind of tolling and safety enforcement messaging up in this area. Again, I mentioned, we're going to use traffic radio, billboards. We are going to be doing stakeholder outreach to over 400 regional and 150 local stakeholders 2 to 3 weeks prior to go live. So this group will probably be getting more communications that you can put out through your channels as well, that tolling is going live and safety, and there's also an enforcement program that's going live at the same time. So we've also done some creative partnerships that will go around. We reached out to Fort Collins Welcome Center, driving schools. We're doing outreach through CSU. So I am open to suggestions. If this group has, other avenues that we could be communicating through or getting information out to, please let Cecil know or myself. We really want to try to make sure we've done everything we can to get the word out. So
Well, the Lower County jails.
I'm open to suggestions. So
Don't put that on hold.
Yeah, so I think, at least in Timoth, I would imagine most municipalities have a regular email communication channel with their citizens. So we put out a newsletter every week. So we could certainly put it on our newsletter and hit it on a couple of them.
Great, okay. No, I will mention that to our communications.
Yeah, if they send something out to all the North Front Range communities, they probably put it on their websites and probably get it out.
Yeah, or their newsletters or.
Okay.
Or if you're putting stuff out, we can reshare it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Do you have a go live date?
Yeah. Right now, we don't have a specific day yet. It's beginning of January.
Oh, it's January.
But that's why 2 to 3 weeks out, we will
It was
have
gonna
a
be
day.
December and I.
No, January. That's why, 2 to 3 weeks out, we will have a
Get an
day.
extra month.
Yeah, you got a little time. So January is when that 30-day grace
Okay.
period will start until. So, but yeah, when we go out with the communications for a few weeks beforehand, we'll have a specific date. Yeah.
They're being watched right now, though.
Yes.
Are you counting the civil penalties yet?
The safety and tolling enforcement equipment is up, I'm pretty sure, as of this week, and we're passively collecting.
You're collecting data.
Yeah. Yep. We kind of went over those trends, but it's been really successful to change behavior. So I'm excited to see hopefully very low rates up here since we've had it live at other points along the corridor. So we'll see.
Well, I've been telling people it's been active.
Good for you.
But
Why, good
I
for
think
you.
the crossover penalties are, so I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, good.
I've been telling people that since then.
I think people kind of think it's active, so.
Well, there's a lot of warning about it.
Yeah, I don't think people know where it ends. Segment ends, 3 ends.
Right. But yeah, that was the information I have for you guys today, but happy to answer any other questions. I know, Cecil, did you want to add anything about 25 Go Live?
No, I think that our PR folks have just done a phenomenal job of getting the information out. If somebody says they don't know, they're not paying attention, because it's going on social media of every kind. You know, TikTok and whatever. And
Cecil,
Cecil.
that just shows your age.
Tic-tac-toe. And,
Yeah, I was at the gas station pumping gas and they had it on the gas station
Yep.
TVs. I mean, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
And you may cover this in your presentation. Will the funds that are collected on North I-25 stay in the region?
that's the legislation.
Will that, is there an attempt,
Stays within the corridor.
stays in the
That
corridor?
could be all the way segments 2 through 8.
It would take legislation to change it.
The
Do
state,
we anticipate that that will happen? There's some rumors.
I'm not hearing any, they tried that a year ago,
Yeah,
or in 2024.
Yeah.
And they got a lot of pushback. And
Yeah, no, I know there's pushback. I mean,
but in the segment, in the corridor means anything in the I-25, set 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
Yeah.
Does it mean how far beyond the I-25 boundaries does that go? I mean, is it intersection included or anything like that?
Everything that's in that managed lane between US 36 and.
I didn't know it required legislation to change it.
yeah, it does, because it's part of the legislation that sets up.
Some people might be interested to get it for $1.
Well,
There's always people interested.
look, if they see $1, they're gonna try to figure out how to use it right now. So, right now, I'm not hearing any legislation that
It's
is
gotta
being.
pay it back its own debt too, so there's debt on the corridor.
Yeah,
You're
that's
hearing
gonna
rumors?
be, I mean,
Well.
that's gonna be fairly decent cash cow.
I
People don't want.
I have the number sitting on my dresser.
Look at them every day. No, I was just curious. I didn't know it was part of legislation. I thought
Yeah.
maybe the commission would do that as well.
All right, well, I'm definitely, Piper, thank you very much.
Thank you. I really
It's
appreciate
very
it.
good seeing you. I haven't seen you for such a long time.
I know, it is very nice.
I got off stack and I am not going down there.
No, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, the donut was the highlight of the meeting.
Jay, there was a cake. I mean, come on, you're missing out.
Oh, no, I really appreciate the opportunity. Happy to come back anytime there is, you want like any updates from me.
Tell everybody hello for me.
I will. And yeah, if there's any questions, I'm gonna head back to Denver, but if there's anything that comes up afterwards, please direct it to Cecil.
We'll cross over the double white line.
Yeah, yeah.
And drive safely.
Right,
and
I
safe.
will drive safely. Yes, I will drive safely. Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thanks, Piper.
All right, we can move into action items. Item 16, October 2025, TIP Amendment Resolution 2025-21. Jonathan.
Yes, hello. The October TIP amendment includes 1 project addition and 2 project removals. The first project is the addition from Laramie County with the project County Road 50 East Corridor Planning and Design. This project features $1,160,850 federal Better Utilizing Investments to Leverage Development Grant, or BUILD, formerly known as RAISE, and $290,215 local funds in fiscal year 26. This project involves planning, design, and pre-construction activities of multimodal and safety improvements on Laramie County Road 50 East. The 2 project removals are from the MMOF reconciliation efforts. These are passed at the last council meeting as resolution 2025-19. The rest of the reconciliations will be a modification sometime next week, but we need to go through our amendment process when removing projects from our TIP that have not been fully completed. 2 projects are the on-route battery electric bus chargers from Fort Collins and the 10th Street Transit Vision from Greeley. The public comment period opened on October 9th and will close at the end of the day on tomorrow, November 7th. The approval of this amendment will be contingent on there being no negative public comments by the end of that period. An environmental and demographic impact analysis was conducted for the project addition, and that can be found in the packet. NFRMPO staff noted no disadvantages, and TAC recommended council approval to add the October TIP amendment to the fiscal year 24 through 27 TIP at their meeting on October 15th. I'll open up to any questions or discussions.
Any questions? All right, on page 46 of the 109, I need to make a correction. The resolution says 2020, and I think it's supposed to be 2020.
There's an updated resolution in the packet.
I was just asking that question, but it is. There it is.
We still have to do that.
So I'll take a motion on resolution number 2025-2021 of the North Front Range Transportation Air Quality Planning Council approving the October 2025 amendments to the 2024-27 Transportation Improvement Program. Got a first? Got a second? Any discussion? All in favor with an eye?
Aye.
All opposed,
Aye.
same sign? Passes. Awesome. Thank you for pointing that out.
Why that one? Oh, okay, I have to go to one.
All righty.
Yeah, I don't know
Moving on to action item, second action item number 17, 2025 Ruby Bridge Grant Resolution 2025-22. Tanya.
So, we have been the recipients of the 2025 Safe Routes Partnership Ruby Bridges Walk to School mini grant for $1,000. And this will promote active transportation while honoring civil rights history. The Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day commemorates the courage of Ruby Bridges, who at 6 years old integrated into the all-white William Frith Elementary School in Louisiana. So this $1,000 will allow us as staff to have an event and do a walk to school day. But we have chosen Bowl High School, which is, they work with untraditional students, high school students, and they have high schools across all of our region. And they have 2 high schools in Greeley, 1 in Windsor, and 1 in Fort Collins, and they serve about 1,300 students in our region. And one of their huge barriers is transportation. So we thought it would be a great partnership to work with them. So we're going to do the event in Greeley on November 14th, and they're going to do a walking march event. Most of their field trips are walking field trips within the area because they don't have any transportation. So they have a great partnership with the old State Armory in downtown Greeley. So they're all going to meet at the downtown school, and then they're going to walk to the State Armory. So they're going to do a walking march event where they're going to learn about transportation, bike safety, and then watch some clips about Ruby Bridges. But to have some fun and an educational component to the event, the kids are going to write essays about their transportation challenges, and we've had funding, so we're going to be giving some prizes for those students that are going to participate. So it's going to be a fun event, but we've also, built a strong collaboration with the school, and we're hoping that it will be an ongoing collaboration where we could help them through their transportation challenges and possibly do some bike workshops, bike safety workshops, and really promote some great partnerships in the future. So we're asking for a resolution to accept the $1,000 and get this collaboration continued.
Any questions? Tanya?
I just think this is okay. Thank you for getting that grant. And I would love to see the essays that they can find about transportation.
This is the flyer the school put together, so if anybody's available, please join us.
It's like a 3-block walk from
Yeah.
from there down to the Armory. But in November.
You never know.
Could be a nice 3 blocks or
Really cool.
All right, so next on the agenda,
I move adoption of resolution number 25, North Front Range Transportation and Air Quality Planning Council accepting the 2025 Ruby Bridges Office School Day.
second.
got a first, got a second. Any discussion? All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And she just tic-tacked me.
I think there should be, that TikTok.
That is gonna be what I'll remember forever.
They're still in your pocket.
All right. Going on, discussion item number 18. CMO call for projects. Tanya, you're up again.
What? Oh, there's a presentation.
Okay, so our TMO call for projects, there's 6 goals. So first of all, is to reduce congestion and improve air quality. Second goal is connectivity and strengthen regional links. The third goal is sustainable projects and invest in financial and technical sustainable projects. The fourth goal of the call is accessibility and advanced access for all. Goal 5 would be innovation and encourage innovation in the TDM. And goal 6 would be local commitment and build community support. This is the anticipated call timeline, which started back in on July 16th with the first discussion at a TAC presentation. And now we're having our first discussion here. So you can see the timeline, and our next conversation would be at the next meeting. If you would take action on the call we would be able to open up the call on December 5th. So here are the funding estimates. Funding for the program is sourced from the CRP, and the council approved setting aside $400,000 in CRP funds between 2024 and 2027 for a TMO incubator funding, with funding to be distributed as shown in the table below. There would be a local match of 17.21% required per project, and the annual awards would range from a minimum of 50% to a maximum of 100%, with 2025 being $200,000, 2026 being $100,000, 2027 being $100,000 for a total of $400,000. The TMO guidebook, which is attached in your 109-page document that you were given at your.
Is that all it is? It looks like closer to.
It's 109. So you could go ahead and review that, but it outlines the plan framework, the TMO services, the structure, and so on. And then the TMO call for projects scoring system is outlined here. So the categories are mobility and connectivity, which would go over goal 1 and goal 2. It would be scored on a system between 1 and 5, so a low, moderate, and high. The second category would be sustainable projects and local commitment, and that would hit goal 3 and goal 6. And the third category would be accessibility and innovation, which would cover goal 4 and goal 5. The weight of each category is 50, 25, and 25. And the scoring committee would be consistent of 3 MPO members, staff members. So it would be myself, the mobility director, the mobility planner, and a member from the planning team. Next steps, as I stated earlier,
would be at the December 4th meeting, the planning council taking action on the call process and then opening up the call for projects on December 5th. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Tanya?
I just have a question about what happens if, like, do we think we're gonna have interest in people? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, obviously you only have one team in the region officially.
Yeah.
I feel like there's interest.
Okay.
But if other organizations want to just form a new TMO, they could apply as well.
And it can be formed by what kind of, I mean, anybody who's in the MPO? Or a nonprofit?
501c3, 501c4, or like we went to 501c3 for a specific reason. That's what
Contribution.
Recommendation was, yeah.
Public-private.
Huh?
Was it public-private as well?
Yeah, the 501c4 restricted us too much. I think steered us towards one direction. With the tic tac.
So can existing TMOs get these dollars too? Existing TMOs or anyone who wanted to form a TMO?
Would you have to be in place before December 4th?
You can use the money
To form a
Okay.
TMO. Because that's how our TMO got started, basically with the same type of dollars from the state.
And we don't know if this funding is going to be available the next reauthorization, right? So this is essentially, you have to commit these in the tip right now, you need to commit them. And essentially, this group will get reauthorized. If the RP, the production program exists in the next bill, you guys had agreed to take that funding off the top as part of this, right? And not give it to the communities as part of the program distribution. So you would need to just decide if you would do that again, or what, at some point, you guys as a council are gonna want to talk about, what you want to do from the TMO perspective.
So with the transportation reauthorization next year, obviously those dollars could and will likely go away in the CRP. Johnny hopes so.
I would say,
Almost definitely they will, the CRP's going to go away.
yeah, I'm not gonna say that because they might do an extension. In the last reauthorization, they extended the continuing resolution and extended it for 4 years before they passed
Before they pass the forward transportation authorization. So there could be, but as of right now, of what we know, these are the dollars that are left. And these are dollars we allocated and we don't know in the future if there will be.
Because I got a feeling with the midterms in 26, they're gonna kick that can down the road. Like the federal government does really well, if we're even up and running by then. Sorry, sarcasm kicked in there.
Other NPOs are CARG CMAC funded for the same type of program. So, I mean, again, future calls, future funding years, out years, if you guys decide you want to have a different funding source off of the top. I feel like those are always discussions. Other agencies doing set asides. We haven't really been a big set aside agency.
Sure.
This was, a unique situation, but there are other opportunities from a mobility perspective. And, I think the mobility team has been doing a great job. This is a new program. This hasn't been something that we've, done historically. So I do think that there is some future discussions as a council that you're going to really want to have as, what is our mobility program look like?
It'd be interesting when our mobility coordinators come to the table with in the future what we're gonna be looking at.
Is there a maximum dollar amount that you can get of that $400,000? Is there a maximum allocation or that you can get?
So the $400,000 is the federal amount, and then a local match is required. So they'll have to bring, so if they want the full 400,000, they'll have to bring like 85,000, whatever the 7.21%.
Or they can have a
calculation is.
portion of that.
Is it that 50% to 100% that you have?
There was a 17.1.
Yeah, that's the local, right,
the
but
local
then,
match, but
then
yes,
the minimum of the.
the minimum was the 50, so that we know for sure, we're thinking somebody would come in higher than that request. And because this can be for operations, right? That's what makes this funding unique in the sense that it can be for staffing and operations and marketing. This is definitely different in the sense of it's not a local government necessarily, it's not restricted to just local governments, the nonprofits can apply.
How long is it open for?
Second 6 weeks.
December 5th. All right, thank you very much. We're going to move on to the next one, item 19, 2025, Coordinated Human Service Transportation Plan. Aaron. I'm keeping track. I'm catching up.
Okay. Hello, guys. So I'll just talk about the coordinated plan. I'll give a little background, a little bit on the plan itself, and then what we've been doing on mobility, which you probably haven't heard about us in a little bit. And then talk about what has happened since the 2021 plan, go over the demographics we looked at, as well as the outreach we did, and some of the strategies and ideas we heard back from the communities. So the 2025 coordinated plan is the strategic plan for mobility within the region. Mobility specifically covers older adults, individuals with disabilities, low-income individuals, and underserved communities. This plan is updated every 4 years, and it helps get projects funded by FTA 5310 funds, which are funds specifically for older adults, individuals with disabilities, and low-income individuals. And a program funded through this is the RIDE-NOCO program. And the plan is broken down into 4 parts. It looks at analyzing existing conditions, evaluating the data, looking at the mobility gaps, and then strategizing for improvements. Since the 2021 coordinated plan, all that stuff that's listed right there has happened. Not all in me or Tanya's time frame since being here last year. But since 2021, the mobility management program was created. Staffing positions, the mobility director, my position, the mobility specialist, any technical assistance that we provide, 3 mobility committees, the Larimer County, Weld County, and the Joint Northern Colorado Committee are all parts of this program, as well as the launching and staffing of RIDE-NOCO, as well as any trainings that we do, any of the acquirement of wheelchair accessible vehicles for agencies like ADEO, Vision, 60 Plus, and the Milliken Center or Senior Center, the expansion of the VIA mobility services, outreach, the dial taxi programs. So all those listed up there has been programs that have been worked on since 2021 coordinated plan. So the mobility program specifically that we get to work on with NPO, we cover the RIDE-NOCO One Call, One Click Center, which I'll go over some of the data on the next few slides, as well as the 3 mobility committees, technical assistance and sub-recipient programs, doing community outreach. So if you've been to the Weld Project Connect, we were there. We saw about 200 people come to our booth out of the 1,000 people that went that day.
You didn't see me, did you?
No, you didn't stop by.
I was there.
I saw you in the distance. Yeah, your pink shirt stood out.
I just had a root canal, so I wasn't in a very good mood.
You're okay. We were busy. It was a busy one, super good event. I had a lot of good outreach. But we'll also be at farmers markets throughout the winter and any resource events we can be at. And then the planning efforts, so that's the coordinated plan, the mobility action plan, which implements the coordinated plan. And then any strategizing for coordination with multi-partner agencies. So I'll highlight some of the call center data to highlight the RIDE-NOCO program. So the RIDE-NOCO program, as of the end of October, got 289 calls and about 6,532 website visits. I checked it this morning and it's sitting about 7,500 website visits and about a little bit over 300 calls.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Did something happen between 2024 and 2025 with the website really just for that dramatic increase in the number of visits, or is it just people are finding it?
People are finding it. More outreach. I'll show it on the next slide, but I just wanted to highlight the calls by county. So far this year, we've gotten about 58% of our calls from Larimer County and about 25% of our calls from Weld County, and the rest is either unknown or outside of our region. So the monthly data shows that October, we got about 1,700 website visits, we did a lot of outreach in October.
You presented at City Greeley.
Yes, I also presented
Did
at
a
the City of
really
Greeley.
great job.
And there was an article about us in the paper. We saw the next morning.
Yep.
So we actually did get a lot of emails and calls from people requesting information the following couple of days.
I had you there.
I'm willing to come and do presentations anywhere. I do them a lot. This is probably like my 10th for this month. So keeps me busy. But the Ride NoCo call center, some of the things that we get with our call centers, we're able to ask people questions to help make sure that they get the information they need. And with that, we're able to ask them these like different data points, and we're able to get to see what communities or groups need the most help, or where we're referring people, or where trip purposes are. So most of our calls do come from over 60. We do get about 9% veterans calling in, and that's actually increased. Beginning of the year is about 2%, but with more outreach with veteran groups, we've been able to get more calls. And then Fort Collins, Loveland, and Greeley are our 3 largest city calls in. After that, Windsor, Wellington, and then Weld County in general. And then I highlighted the yellow ones just because we've recently been working on updating some of our data points, and with new updates to Google Sheets, we're able to do multiple choices for referral and trip purposes. And we also added referral as a question as well. So we're able to now know we're referring people mostly to. So far, we see TransDev, Z-Trip, Heart and Soul, VIA, 60 plus. And then our number 1 trip purpose is medical still. These are all new data points. They're not fully cleaned up yet. We have to go back through all of our data over the last couple of years and update the data. But now we've been able to get data points on disability, wheelchair accessibility, if they're a student, what insurance they use, and then who referred them to us, just so we know where they're coming from and where they're learning about us. So that was just kind of our Ride NoCo data to highlight what we've been doing on the mobility program. But back to the coordinated plan. So with the coordinated plan, we look at the urban areas, which helps with the 5310 fund. So the NPO has 5 urban areas: Fort Collins, Greeley, Eaton, Severance, and Johnstown. And since the last coordinated plan, they updated what an urban area is. Since the last plan, they got rid of the different designations like urban clusters or larger ones. It's just urban areas now. And their definition is at least 5,000 residents or at least 2,000 housing units. And the main difference now with what it was in 2021 was they added the at least 2,000 housing units. And that's mostly for like ski towns, vacation towns, where people don't live there full time. So it doesn't really affect us out here, but it mostly affects the whole country.
Question.
Yes.
Is
Timnip is part of the Fort Collins one. So the Fort Collins urban area covers Windsor, Timnip, Loveland, and Berkeley. With that large blue area on the left side. And Fort Collins receives the 5310 funds on behalf of that TMA. And then CDOT receives the 5310 funds on behalf of Greeley, Weld County, and any of the rural or small urban areas. And then the NPO, we get stuck with completing the coordinated plan for the region. So to highlight some of the municipal transit in our region, this map shows the different public transits. The hard lines show the fixed routes, and the bubbles show the dial ride areas. Yes.
Is Fort Collins optimizing our other communities experiencing the same?
With the optimizing their routes.
Yeah, well, I'm also saying that we'll be cutting back the service and everything that across the region.
Some of the services, like lines change a lot, and services are changing. I know Greeley's doing their mobility development plan as well right now.
We're optimizing our routes.
Yeah. So
I don't know I haven't heard anything on it, but we are optimizing. Yeah.
We have 0 public transportation. 0. Nothing.
So I'm just kind of curious how that's impacting your work.
So yeah, how it affects kind of our world. The biggest thing that we see is when routes change, the dial ride changes. Dial ride is 3/4 of a quarter mile off of fixed route. That's what they're able to go off of based off funding requirements. So whenever fixed routes are changed, that changes dial ride areas, and that's really what affects us the most, especially when that happens and it doesn't really get conveyed to people. And they call in and ask us, why can't I get a ride anymore from Z-Trip or Dial Ride or Transport or Colt? And it's, you're not in that bubble anymore. So it does affect people, and I would say all 4 of the public transit services, even BATs, are all dealing with different issues and affecting their lives and everything. And then this highlights the volunteer transportation region. I always love showing these slides when I do outreach, because going between these 2 slides, it always gets people confused and helps me highlight the reason why we have the Ride No Code program and the call center. Because this is our volunteer transportation and our nonprofits. So these are all services that help with paratransit. And on the left map, it shows Saint, it shows Raft, and then it shows a little help. And on the right, it shows 60+ ride service area and then Via Mobility service area as well. And that can be really confusing for older adults and individuals with disabilities if they're trying to figure out, if they qualify for a service. If they don't, can it take them somewhere, can it not? These are all issues we deal with. So this is the population by age cohort for 2025 to 2050 for both Larimer County and Weld County. So this highlights just what the growth is supposed to look like over the 25 years. Just to highlight some of the things that on the Larimer County side, what you'll see the biggest change is that since there's a lot of older people that are 60 to 75 right now in Larimer County, over the next 25 years, you'll see the increase in 80 and above, while you'll see that in Weld County, there's a lot of younger people, and over in 25 years, it'll switch up more to the 60. So there's like a little bit of a difference between the age groups, but Colorado in general is seeing some of the largest growth in older populations.
Kate Watkins, the new state demographer, is going to be here next month to give a presentation.
I don't want to
do one with the Weld County.
Yeah, I don't want to steal all of her thunder because I met with her a few weeks ago.
We're getting older.
Yeah.
We're having less babies, that's all I do.
Too long, don't read it. Everyone's getting older.
Bottom line is.
Bottom line. This highlights the individuals with disabilities in our region, just so it shows the population for each city and municipality in our region, as well as the total population of disability and the percentage. I can't really project numbers for individuals with disabilities, and neither does the state, because the definition is always changing and it's harder to know that growth. But it is always important to know that the average percentage for the whole NPO region is about 11.3% for individuals with disabilities.
And that was 23 days.
Yes. Yeah, I tried looking at 2024 data, but the census website is down right now.
Wonder why.
So, yeah, there's not a lot of new data for the census. But I wanted to highlight some of the outreach activities we did for the coordinated plan over the last year since I've gotten involved with NPO. So I had a public survey open for 6 months. We only got 17 responses. I know that's not a good amount. That's something we discussed at our mobility committee and ways in the future how we can better tackle that, and in general, how we can get the information out there. We also met with both mobility committees and the joint one multiple times. As well as this last Tuesday, we moved the Northern Colorado Committee up, and we had a discussion about this plan. No comments and approval from them, so it was all good. We did 32 outreach events and presentations over this year. That's presentations or outreach events like Answers Aging Resource Fair, Oak Brook Resource Fair. I did a presentation to the UC Health Community Health Educators Program, which is a group of 100 doctors and surgeons from across northern Colorado for UC Health. I did 25 different stakeholder meetings, including different boards, transportation, disability, senior, city councils, as well as I did feedback internally with NPO staff. I sent out the coordinated plan for the last couple of weeks to TAC, as well to the mobility committee, and then individually to each service provider. And I got responses from different cities like Loveland, Fort Collins, via sent some information. So got some comments back, and then after today, we'll open up for 30 days of public comment to end on December 7th. So what we heard with all that outreach over these last couple months, the left shows what I've heard from the different stakeholder meetings, and the one on the right shows what we got on the call center. So our call center, most of our calls for gaps in services is last minute. Individuals who need a ride to a doctor's appointment that day or tomorrow, as well as excluded from service areas or cost. And then on the left is what we hear from the stakeholder meetings. So new neighborhoods not being served by transportation options, getting in between communities is difficult. The rural areas need more support. Temporary disabled individuals need support, and that's just individuals going to doctor appointments where they require sedation or anesthesia, or someone who might break their leg and is out from driving for 6 months. How do they get to work? As well as affordable transportation. In general, that's one of the biggest things we hear a lot. And then from our service provider side, we hear a lot that funding is limited, funding is being cut, funding is volatile, so their services are all three of those. So that's what we hear mostly from our service providers. And then lastly, awareness and outreach. So just getting this information out there, getting Ride NoCo out there, getting information about how the Poudre Express is free for students, or getting information about busing or 60 plus, or United Way has the 211 line. So just doing more presentations to just different groups in general. And then some of the strategies. So we came down with 5 strategies: coordination, education, outreach, and communication, collaboration, and infrastructure and funding, and then non-mobility improvements. And then some of the ideas, projects, and programs that were suggested through this outreach period and from the mobility committees. We're creating a volunteer pool to help encourage more grassroots volunteers, a volunteer medical chaperone program to help with that temporary disabled problem, an emergency fund to help individuals who do call into the call center and there's no services where they live, so we can give them, Z-Trip credit or Lyft credit. Earn a bike workshops for older adults or individuals with disabilities to help support active modes for those vulnerable groups. Expansions of our Ride NoCo program and optimization, so getting more people tied into our TDS system, which allows us to send trips directly to service providers, as well as a regional transit or paratransit service. I get that told every mobility committee by Steve Teets, when are we going to have a mass public transit system? So I made sure to add that one on there for him. He was super happy on Tuesday that I was there.
He's at every council meeting. He used to come here a lot.
Yeah.
He did. He asked for a ride.
James gives him a ride.
Yeah, he said he was going to ask James to get a ride tonight.
He doesn't call me.
I told him to.
We need to analyze that.
I told him he should.
That was part of the ride program.
Are you trained though? There was a training program.
Oh, I'm trained. He might come here with a window like this. All right.
So what's next? The NCMC recommended approval on Tuesday. There was no comments. The only comment was we should talk more about how we can do better outreach in general. But I think that's just a larger conversation with the mobility committees. And what's next is after 30 days, December 4th would be the second reading adoption from you all. And that's it.
Any questions for Aaron?
Thank you.
Very active.
Yeah,
Appreciate
lots of miles you put in.
Yes. I'm sure if you used a bike or something,
Or carpooling, vanpooling, whatever is necessary.
Right. We're moving on. Number 20. Well, County Road 38 functional classification change request. Becky.
So back in July, we received a request from the town of Meade to change the functional classification of Wells County Road 38. So as you all may know, Wells County Road 38 is our southern boundary. So on the northern side is our NPO, and on the southern side is Dr. Cobb. And so Meade, while it's a Dr. Cobb community, does have that piece of road, Wells County Road 38, within their jurisdiction, and they do come a little bit into the North Front Range NPO, although they are, like I said, a Dr. Cobb community. And so they have to reach out to the NPO. that has jurisdiction over the road within their planning process, and so they reached out to us. And we reviewed the request and found it meets our the federal requirements, and so we took it to the TAC last month, and they had heard from the town of Meade folks, and then I'm bringing it to you tonight. And so just some stats on the road currently, it is a collector, is what is classified. Is proposed classification is major arterial, and this is in advance of the interchange that's going to be going in there with I-25. This would also make both County Road 38 federal aid eligible, and so this is about a mile and a half. It's currently 2-lane undivided with no shoulder or little shoulder if there is any, and it's primarily starts east-west turn between Meade and Berthoud. And so they would like the speed limit to be 45. And so the request is for us to approve, us as the NPO to approve this. Then I would submit a letter to FHWA. There is a process that CDOT and FHWA came up with, and so there's a lot of fill in the blanks here. Provide that letter to FHWA upon council approval with the resolution. If there's any questions, happy to take them now.
I know, I recognize Helen McBrick's on the phone. Helen, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, but I would defer to my mayor, who's also
Oh, I
here as
didn't
well.
see. Sorry, I didn't see Mayor. Hello, Mayor, anything?
Hello, Chair, and the coalition for tonight. I would strongly urge you to help us get through this. We've been working on this for many months, and I hope that the coalition tonight will help us get through this measure. Even though we're on the cusp of Dr. Cog and Front Range right now, we really think that this corridor and this whole area will benefit not only the north but the south of this whole area. So I appreciate the time, Chair, and I defer anything to our Public Works Director, Town Engineer Erica Rasmussen.
Erica, anything? I will tell you, Mayor, that going through the Dr. Cog would have been a lot more hell than going through the North Front Range.
I agree, sir, but we're here tonight to ask for your approval.
Anything else? Any questions for Becky or the mayor? Well, it's a discussion item tonight, so it'll be on next month's agenda for approval. And I think you're looking pretty good with not a lot of questions.
Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on. Executive Director Policy. I'm sort of going to take this a little bit and catch up a little bit on the agenda. There's only really a couple major changes in there. Come next month, if you see something, please let Elizabeth and I
think
and
we did
Commissioner Stevens know if there's something, but really the major changes
go to the agenda.
are pretty, I mean, there's nothing minor. I think 5.6, 5.10 is not that major. It's just clarifying and changing who's active and who's not. And then 7.2 is the same thing that happened. So I don't see any major changes. If there's any discussion on those, if you read your packet before you got here. But if not, I'm going to try to catch up on some time.
Well, were we gonna change the dollar? Did you want to add a dollar amount? At one point, we did that.
This has no dollar amount no more?
It does not have a dollar amount. It's referring to, if you look at 5.6, it's going back to the language of does not exceed the financial authority already approved by the council. So if you have already approved taking an action, then it's memorializing it basically. So I did not put a dollar amount associated with that in there. If the council would like a dollar amount or a threshold, I
don't, because it's already been decided.
If we approved it, there's nothing. It's the ones that have come off the table that might not have an approval of the council. But those will go through the executive committee anyway.
I mean, if there's something with a large dollar amount, I would hope that you would know I would be bringing that to you guys. I mean, I'm, unless it's.
Hope is not a strategy.
Yes, it is for a lot of people.
I'm good with it. We've talked about this as an executive.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you didn't.
What I would say is if we need to bring something up and talk about it next month, we just think about it.
Okay. We can talk about it again at the executive committee meeting for November too, if you want.
I don't have any, there's nothing that I saw that gave me any heartburn. All righty, moving on, that's 21. I think I caught up much time. Wait, we're at the end. Transportation Commission, number 22, 10-year plan is set. We were told what you were gonna do, and so we're moving on, right?
Sure. I think some new information, when we received the initial timeline, we were going to be workshopping the 10-year plan in November.
December.
And then adopted in December. That timeline has changed. The workshop for regions 3 and 5, which is the Western Slope. Those are the two regions that we will be workshopping in November. We will not be workshopping regions 1, 2, and 4 until January, which means
No
that
approval until February.
and approval's not until February.
Then would you be able to answer the question of why?
No.
I thought that was coming.
To be frank, we don't know, and we haven't gotten the packet yet. Tomorrow, like I mentioned before, I'm on the 10-year plan greenhouse gas subcommittee, and maybe we'll have more information. My guess is this, and I'm just guessing.
Yep, that's okay.
And so it's not policy, so don't record me. There are some complicated projects that are parts that are 1, 2 in 1, 2, and 4 that are going to be heavily discussed. That's what I'm surmising.
From my observation, it might not meet 100% of the greenhouse gas initiatives that they want. There's a little congestion improvement.
There is. That's. I think there are some issues. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
That are going to take a lot more discussion than discussing an entire state program. 3 and 5 are a piece of cake, in my opinion. They're pretty straightforward. It's this whole front range that, as you all are very well aware, that have major complications.
All right. Any other great news you have for us today?
We didn't meet last month, so nothing.
Nothing but delay.
Oh, I'm so glad you represent us down there.
We did our tour last month. We do a tour to some part of the state every year. This year, we rode the train so that we could see what the new mountain rail, the one to Glenwood. But that one, the train from Denver to Glenwood rides the tracks until you get to Bond. That'll be the mountain rail. And then from Bond, it goes that way to Craig and that way to Salt Lake. And so we went to Glenwood, and then we did a lot of stops, taking a look at the Glenwood Tunnel, the Eisenhower Tunnel, the top of Vail Pass, where all of those projects have gone. And significant work on Vail Pass, by the way, that'll be.
West Slope Tour.
Yeah, so we did a West Slope tour, and so we rode the train and rode the Mustang back.
Awesome. Anything else?
That's it.
Pretty good one.
So more news to come on the 10-year plan. I think it'll be a fun time coming.
I mean, we sat with CDOT on that plan. I mean, so like it'll be interesting for us to learn what the hiccups are, because I feel like we've workshopped this plan quite a bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we
So
haven't.
just-
We
You
haven't.
guys haven't, okay.
Yeah, we have not.
The commissioners.
I'm talking about the commission has not seen any of this. And that's what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, I guess I'm hoping that there's not problems with it when we're identified, when we're looking, you know.
Well,
half a dozen times.
It might be helpful too, if you guys want to again support the 10-year
Thank you.
plan at TC when they
I'll say
do
it.
Well,
present it.
okay, let me, again, I think the bigger issues are that we now have some additional legislation that has additional funding through enterprises that I don't necessarily know that it has come down this far as to how some of that funding will be utilized. And I think that's where the major discussions are going to happen with those enterprise funds. Because quite frankly, again, I'm just guessing. Nobody's talked to me about the plan.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But let us know if there's something that, you know, obviously when we do the
We'd be
workshop.
more than welcome to send Elizabeth to talk, because the chair probably wouldn't be very welcome.
Well, let me just say that you know we've been hearing from the I-25 coalition and the I-270 coalition regularly, and I would not let up on those discussions and on those making sure that those, because we're hearing from others.
I heard my chairmanship ends on December, so they moved it to January.
And quite frankly, there really is no, this is, the 10-year plan is self-inflicted, right? It's self-inflicted, so there's not a timeline that says it's got to be done in December.
Usually on your tip and your tip amendments, it has a timeline.
They need to get the projects in the SIP for the next year.
I just didn't know if there was like a thing with the project.
Well, there's gonna be a lot of discussion.
It's funding.
It'll be interesting to watch.
Pardon me?
It's funding, I think.
It's funding.
It's funding. I don't know that necessarily it's about the projects that you guys have, you know, the state is looking at. I think there's limited funding.
Well, right, so do the projects stay on there, I mean, because there's no funding for them, and is that?
It has to, I think the way they're looking at it, it is a constrained plan that has to be the funding that they have. And they do it differently since 2019. They don't look at it as anticipated revenues the same as they used to look at anticipated revenues.
Well, it's probably smart not to, but I mean, at the same time, we'll find out if there's projects that get removed.
Oh yeah, once
It's
the,
in danger of being.
it's going to be, the workshop, all of this is going to be an open session. The workshops are going to be an open session.
It will go
So,
in January.
so.
The staff will move to.
Yeah. So, you know, it's,
No, I get it. I mean,
it's money. Elizabeth's right. You know, we saw a big cut in what.
well, it's partly one of my questions about funds from the CPI, from the polling being moved around.
Right now, they can't be.
Right. I mean,
Oh, hey, listen. You and I both know that anytime the legislature meets, things could change in a heartbeat.
Yeah, transportation funding, since I've been in place, has seen, here's a bill, oh, we're taking it next year. Oh, here's a bill, but you can't have it this year.
well, there's a little bit of this going on.
Yeah, one of the
Follow
things,
the-
yeah, I agree. Food card Monty. So Liz, what I would ask is, you're stacked in January, you might need to send something out sooner.
Mhm.
Like, hey, this, at your stack, this is what we recommended to the Transportation Commission. So maybe before the meeting, just so we could get something maybe out to everybody, so if they wanted to go to the Transportation Commission.
And if I'm not mistaken, your agenda will have 3 and 5 on it this month. Yeah.
Well, we met today.
Oh.
We met this morning.
Oh,
We meet on our Thursdays now.
Yeah, it was a discussion item. It was a discussion item that said we'll come back to it as an action item.
Okay.
And then part of what we discussed too was meeting more in person so that we're not just so getting information that can be more advisory and not just getting information, but contributing more. So we'll be meeting more in person to contribute more as well. So I shall pass this along and keep it posted.
Thank you.
Our subcommittee will be the very first to see the project list from 3 and 5 tomorrow. That's the first time any commissioner will have seen any of those projects. I mean, I've seen the ones from our region, but I mean, as a whole. Yeah.
Was there anything on staff?
Just those that, I was looking at the rest of my notes and I can't read what I wrote, a lot of it. It's writing really small and, yeah, I think coming back to a lot with, we're just getting started with the legislative stuff. And so everything's kind of wait and see and keep an eye on things, on all of the different funding and where things are going and who's giving money to where. And so it's a wait and see game right now, I guess.
Well, I could tell you the enterprise funds could be at jeopardy, the way they're currently spent. There's a title that was submitted to the state for 2026 ballot that moves all enterprise funds to the roadway and takes it away from the existing enterprise funds.
Yeah.
That could be on the 2026 ballot. All right, any questions for Liz or Cecil? The CTIO is written, front range passenger rail, Tricia, John, any ethics?
I just want to share, I'll go first. Just want to share our new general manager's short bio. His name's Sal Pace. He's been around quite a bit and been involved in rail for a long time and other endeavors. He's pretty well known, and I think we got a fantastic general manager.
He wrote the legislation for the front range passenger.
Yeah, so he's got a history. He can start running from day one, and we as a group look forward to it. Like I said, we voted and it was unanimous, and we're excited to have it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say he's put out a MMO with a phased approach to how we get onto the ballot next year. And he's already issued some RFPs, one to start the Friends of the Front Range Rail dashboard and the precinct level data analyst. And then really finding new funding is a big priority, getting poll research done, starting the Friends of the Front Range Rail, working on station area planning, and that really is Fort Collins and Loveland, those two that remain undetermined, developing a financial plan for the ballot, and then coalition and stakeholder outreach, and really looking at deep board engagement and really the board going out and recruiting these Friends of the Rail program and doing presentations and just leveraging networks across their community. So very active board participation.
Any questions?
I have a question. Is Friends like a 501c3 offshoot then?
No, we don't have that level of detail yet.
Is it to seek private funding?
We will quickly launch an online grassroots platform for Friends of the Front Range Rail to organize and activate supporters. The site will enable participants to share social media content with local events and earn recognition through engagement. We will also develop targeted coalition pages for stakeholder groups and station area advocates.
It's just an activation booth for the front range passenger rail. That's what it sounds like to me. No, it's tied to the rail front range passenger.
It's just that what my friend's library kind of is, that's maybe $3, so that's.
No, it's not what this is.
It's to get people ginned up or excited.
To go vote to raise the dollars.
Okay.
And it could be a C3.
Okay.
It would have to be.
All right. Mr. Host.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for all attending the mini day in Loveland. Appreciate your participation. We also enjoy hosting and answering questions. Some quick project updates. Some of these you've probably heard before, most of them very big projects and take a while. For instance, our downtown Hip Street project continues. We're gonna have 2 blocks done of the 5-block 4th Street redo. And that's gonna be done by the end of November, just in time for our winter festivities, so we can show off at least 2 blocks of 5 while they're there. Front Range Passenger Rail, Loveland has mentioned, along with Fort Collins, received a grant for the location of the passenger rail service along the Front Range corridor. Together, we explore potential station location. Then key intersection improvements, US 34 and TAP. That's a long time project. It was completed earlier this year. I must say, it looks lovely. And US 287, US 34 intersection project that received SDPT grant funding and is on the recommended CDOT 10-year plan, so we don't need to review that. Let's see, we'll skip that. Madison Avenue, 37th Street roundabout is also complete, which is great. I live right close to that, so I use that a lot. US 287 bridge over the Big Thompson. If you remember right, the 2013 flood, 2013 flood, that particular bridge and the highway was underwater for a long time. So basically, they decided that needs to be redone, and so we got the planning grant in order to do that, and we're raising the bridge, which just fascinates me. I don't know, 6 to 8 inches, I don't know what it is, but just think about it. That's not easy to do. With jacks. Yeah, the old-fashioned way. And then our bus system, we're going vertical on our transit center building. Includes some restrooms, should be included in 2026.
Where's that? Where is it located?
That's on the north side of town, 37th Street.
Oh.
Yeah, 37 to 87.
Any questions for Mayor Pro Tem?
Plain though.
I didn't say that. I was gonna say Tic Tac. All right, well, everybody, if there's nothing else with good of the order, John, it was a very good dinner. Thank you for hosting. Your staff has always done a great job. After that, nope.
Okay, well, now I